Hello, what's happening, Justice Warriors? I am so happy to see you. If you're here, I'm here. I'm not going to mess around too much with the lighting and everything, but I am going to ask you how it is because it looks like I'm a little bit on the reddish side. I don't mind, but I'm just trying to make it easier on your eyes, basically. Um, so today is January 9th. It's Thursday. It's almost 9 o'clock at night. And it's been just a couple of days since my last live. And man, has the world been turned upside down since yesterday, the day after J6. The situation in George Floyd's hood. Wow. Everything I say is simply my opinion for the sake of hoping to start a conversation, open up a discussion, learn something, be educational. All of my videos are made for the tube of you. It's an infotainment platform. Yes, I have a lot of wax on my teeth. I apologize for the difficulty that I might have speaking. Hopefully it's nothing that makes it hard to understand what I'm saying and it's not too annoying. Make sure you're still subscribed. If you are subscribed, if you're not, please consider doing so. Share a video of mine with somebody that you think would like this tiny little quirky channel of mine and yours. It's your channel too, you know. And share. What was that? I already said share. Turn on your notification bell to ring. Here's the magical thumb. And let's just do a moment of Zen because OMG, there's so much bullcrap going on. So, I've been following the Tepe case as closely as possible. And that's the dentist in Columbus, Ohio. I think part of why I'm really interested in that case is because it's so close to home, and Columbus has a very special place in my heart. As you know, my grandparents went to college there. My mom was born there on the university campus at their hospital back in 1943. OSU saved my dog's life this last year with the cancer treatment, and on and on and on. I mean, OSU is a phenomenal college. It's one of the biggest in the country, in the world. Universities, I called it a college. There's a lot of shortcomings that it has too, a lot of criticisms, especially lately with Jim Jordan and the SMEC scandals from, I think, going back 20 years or more. A lot of guys were essayed by their, I think it was it the coach? Honestly, I don't follow it that closely, obviously, because it's just so gross. And it's just like, again. A lot of buildings at OSU have Les Wex's name on them, but they might not for much longer. The students there are petitioning to get his name torn off the buildings that he donated the money to build because he's a disgusting freak and he basically created Epstein, allegedly. And the SMEX abuse with kids is gross. And Les Wex also kind of created Michael Jeffries, the guy who did all of the abusing with Abercrombie and Fitch models, mostly males. So, this is Columbus. This is the capital of our great state. And Ohio is one of the, how shall I say, transporting capitals of our country. I talked about this recently with all the interstates that go through Ohio. Like Interstate 75 goes north and south, and then we've got 80 and 90 that kind of converge when they go through Ohio. And then we got 70 that goes right through the center of Columbus. And then I was talking about all the others, like 60 and 50 and 40 and 30 and 10. And then I looked them up, and some of those don't exist. I think is it 50 and 60 that don't exist? I think so, because they already have other roads that are called 50 and 60, and they didn't want to confuse people. So I think they have most of them between 1 and 10 or 1 and 9. Or 10 and 9, sorry, let's be more specific, but they don't have all of them. So, essentially it's a grid. Our country is like 10 or less across, going from Interstate 10 to Interstate 90, 10 being the furthest south, 90 being the furthest north. And then you got the grid of like I-5 on the West Coast. And again, going by 10s all the way up to Interstate 95 on the East Coast. And so we have 75 that runs through Ohio, which goes all the way down through Florida and all the way up through Michigan to Canada. So that's a real main thoroughfare with international stuff. But again, I love my state. I love Ohio. I love Columbus. I love our law enforcement and our military. I come from a long line of military family, and I've got one and possibly two sons that are active duty, and I'm married to a cop. So yeah, I've got a lot of criticisms about ICE, though. My God, did you guys know that the guy who did the thing last night, or yesterday morning, sorry, basically, in my opinion, he attacked that Renee Nicole Good, and you should look up and see what her name means. Renee Nicole and Good. So off the top of my head, I think one of those, Renee or Nicole. Renee means anew, refresh. Nicole means of the people. And good obviously means good or godly or hope. And I thought, man, is that poetic, because she could be our Rosa Parks. And this incident that happened with ICE yesterday morning in Minnesota was 4 blocks down and 4 blocks over from the Cup Foods where George Floyd was choked out by Derek Chauvin 5.5 years ago. And I just don't think it's a coincidence. Let me tell you a little bit of history, and I have to talk fast and have this video be kind of short because I've got to go pick up one of my kids shortly as soon as I get the text. The reason that Minnesota gets picked on so much, in my opinion, that it's like the Trumpster fires top state to hate, maybe second to California, but I think it's the top one. And interesting, because Reagan was from California. And for anybody who doesn't know or doesn't remember or never paid attention, in 1984, when Reagan was our president and he was running for re-election, he swept 49 states of 50. Guess which one didn't vote for him? Yeah, Tim Walz's state. Tim Walz. There's no T in his name. Anyway, so I think that has a lot to do with it. And there's other reasons too, but I think that's like the foundation and the underpinning. So when I was watching the videos of what happened yesterday on 38th and Portland, so it was on Portland Avenue, which is a main thoroughfare at between 33rd and 34th. I said 38th, but that is where Cup Foods used to be. 38th and Chicago. And there's about 5 Cup Foods, I think, in Minneapolis, but that one where George Floyd took his last breaths, that's no longer there, which is often what happens with businesses when they've got the bad publicity. So I think it was yesterday about 9 o'clock when Renee was dropping off her 6-year-old son, I think. And, I've been studying up on all my facts, but, forgive me if I make some mistakes or if I misspeak. To the best of my knowledge, this is what I know so far. She had her spouse, her significant other, in the passenger seat, who is a woman. Renee has been divorced twice. Her little boy's dad, the 6-year-old that she was dropping off for school, his dad's name is Timothy Ray. I have it written down if I can't remember off the top of my head. And yeah, brain freeze. Timothy Ray Jr. And he served 14 years in the United States Air Force, and he did a tour in Iraq. And he passed away 3 years ago in 2023 when they were living in Colorado Springs. They might have already been separated or something, because she's not mentioned in his obituary, and he might have been struggling, because it doesn't say what took him out. So it kind of sounds like maybe self-inflicted, maybe accidental, the whole natural, accidental, self-inflicted misadventure. I mean, not to make light of it, it sounds like it was probably something that the family would not want to share, like substances or self-harm or both. But it also sounded like Renee and him were probably already separated. Maybe she had already had a girlfriend or something. I don't know. But she was married prior to Timothy Ray. I know I wrote his name down. I meant to anyway. Timothy Ray Macklin, Macklin. Timothy Ray Macklin Jr. He was 36 when he passed away 3 years ago, so he'd be about 39 or 40 now. Nicole Renee Good, I think it might be Renee Nicole Good, but she was about 37. So her name breaks down as meaning for the people reborn in hope, basically. She had 3 kids. She also has a 12-year-old. She's survived by 3 children, a 15-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 6-year-old. 2 are sons, 1 is a daughter. So she'd been married to another man prior to Timothy, or Timmy, he went by. Timmy Ray Macklin Jr. was also a comedian, which I think is really cute. But her kids' names, I know the names, but of course I'm not going to put them out in the public. I mean, if you dig online, you can find them pretty easily, but I don't know the last names. And the kids' names, let me tell you what they mean. Wisdom, king, and brave and powerful. So I thought that was kind of poetic too. I thought that was fascinating. So, Renee's wife or significant other was in the passenger seat. I believe that she got out of the vehicle to videotape what was going on once the confrontation started, like once those ICE officers were approaching Renee's driver's side door. Oh, and I think I even wrote down her name. I think her name is out there in the ether. But yeah, they got to be careful with that too. And I might not have gotten her name either way. I probably don't want to share it. There is an eyewitness named Emily Heller who's gone on the record. There's a lot of videotapes from a lot of different angles. So I've done a lot of scouring and I've listened to many people's opinions. I just want to say, from what I know, videotape, Billy, darling, hello, my dear. How are you, honey? How's your day? You were probably as devastated as I was. Is this going to not allow me to tag you? It's not going to find out about this last night, the situation that happened yesterday in Minneapolis. So as soon as I found out, I was like, this looks like it's around the corner from Cup Foods, because I've gone like boots on the ground digitally and looked all around where Cup Foods was in Chicago and 38th. And I was like, seriously, like, is this like right across the street from where the Cup Foods was? And I was not surprised to learn that it was 4 blocks up and 4 blocks over. Some places on the internet say it's less than half a mile away. Other places say less than a mile away. So somewhere between 0.4 and 0.8 miles away. The same neighborhood. I think it's considered like southeast of Minneapolis, the southeast of downtown Minneapolis. So it's just south of downtown, just east of downtown. Kind of not the nicest neighborhood, but really nice, large, old homes. And I think that Renee and her partner were dropping off their kid, and then they were just like letting people know that there were these ICE agents coming. And then I think she was maybe trying to turn left, but I don't know. It looks like a one-way street. It's kind of confusing. But, the ICE agents jumped out of the car. her wheels were kind of turned to the left, and then she had been like letting people pass through in front of her. Like she was kind of over on the shoulder, actually. Like it looks like she's sort of in the middle of the road, but she's actually like on the shoulder. I don't think that's where the school is, but I'm not sure. I think that was between the school and home. But anyway, so she's looks like she's about to try to turn left with all this traffic. So she's trying to wave traffic through, but ICE doesn't want to go through. They stop and confront her. So then she tries to turn right. And that's when one of the officers, whose name I have because he got doxxed by Kristi Noem on national news media, so it's everywhere now. And he's the same guy. And maybe I didn't write that name down either. No, I did write it down. It's Jonathan Ross. So ICE officer Jonathan Ross, the one who shot Renee 3 times in close range, and says that she tried to run him over with her car, but we'll get to that in a second. He's the same guy that had over 30 stitches from being dragged in Bloomington, Indiana about 6 months ago. Same guy. So I believe that he was dragged in an ICE incident. I believe that he did get over 30 stitches. And I believe that the man who dragged him is probably in jail. I don't know, honestly. If you know, Billy, and you want to talk about it, please share. Been to St. Paul, but not Minneapolis before. So for people who don't know, St. Paul, Minneapolis are like the same city. Like they're, I don't know if there's like a road in the middle that says this is this and this is that. I've only been there once, and it's kind of cool. I like it. I was there in the summer for an art show. I sold my jewelry, and it felt like, is it like a mile high city? Because it felt like I was closer to the clouds than any other city. And so I was like talking to the people that were from there, and I think it's called like the Mile High City, but I'm not sure. This was like 25 years ago. This was like right around the time that Jeffrey Dahmer was getting arrested. And I'd been hanging out in Milwaukee. I watched The Silence of the Lambs when I was staying in Milwaukee, and then a couple of weeks later, Dahmer got arrested. But I went to that art show in Minneapolis, St. Paul. It was like on the Capitol grounds, I think. Anyway, it's a cool city. And then it turned out like a lot of my old college friends from Miami University lived there. And sorry, of course I have a hair in my mouth. I love the Mary Tyler Moore Show and Rhoda, and they're from Minneapolis, St. Paul. And then that really cool movie with Amy Adams, that miniseries that I've been so crazy about this last year called Sharp Objects. She's also from Minneapolis, St. Paul in the movie. So anyway, it's kind of a small city. People are really kind and personable and down to earth, which is kind of like how Columbus is too. You know, even though it's a big city and it's the capital, people are really like open and friendly and down to earth. So, you know, I wanted to talk about both cases. I wanted to talk about Renee and her situation, and I also wanted to do an update on the Tepe case, if I'm saying it right. I want people to watch the Tepe Spence and Monique's wedding video. I really want you to watch that. I'm asking you to watch it, and I'm also going to ask you to watch the horror movie that the brother-in-law, Rob Misla, I think is how you say his name. It's like Misleh. He's married to Spence's sister, Madeline. So Madeline and Rob and another person named Cam in their family made that 12-minute horror film that's called Fright. It's called Freight, but it's all capitalized except the E is lowercase. So I think it's, you know, so that you can see that it says Fright and Freight, basically. And it's a spooky movie. It's not too gory. I'm not into horror movies. It's very well done. It's very artistic and, you know, suspenseful, but creepy AF. Kind kind of along the lines of Silence of the Lambs, but not as painful to watch. Again, it's only 12 minutes. And I think there are similarities. Well, there are similarities. Like, it's kind of his signature, I think, to start with panning out for a cityscape, for like a skyline, and then to like hone in on the specific individuals that are involved in that city. I think I poked around on his channel. He has a YouTube channel that is his name, Rob Misla, and he's got like 20 videos. But he took down the video of him and his wife getting married. I thought that was odd because I watched the video a few days ago of Rob and Madeline getting married. They got married at a beautiful park down in Cincinnati called Alt Park, AULT, and I'd just been there for the first time not too long ago. So I was like, oh, they got married there. It was beautiful. But they took it down, which I thought was interesting. One sec. Hey, I'm live. Okay, I gotta go. Oh. Well, I said I'm live. Like, let me just hang up. Okay. Because I texted them before I came on, too. That's not Anna Bees. I would never talk to Anna Bees like that. Somebody I know very well, so we're very familiar, and we get miffed with each other, and we forgive each other easily, so it's no big deal. Anyway, where was I? I want people to watch the video. So who else was in a horror film in these true crime cases? I'll just answer the question real quick so I can continue to speed through all this information. Brian Koberger's sister was in a horror film. And I thought, what are the chances these people in these high profile cases? I'm starting to get really suspicious of the Tepe case. And I'll tell you why. First off, they're from Central Casting. You know what I mean? Or they're not from Central Casting, but the couple looks like they're from Central Casting, like they're perfect. Like, talk about Mary Tyler Moore. Monique looks a lot like Mary Tyler Moore, or like even more stunning. A lot like Anne Hathaway. You know, she's got the dark hair, the wide mouth. She's gorgeous. Kind of reminds me of Courtney Cox from Friends. Very stunning, like almost too stunning. And then Spence is just like super cute, cuter than a bug's ear, kind of dorky looking like Richie Cunningham. But then when you see him on video, he is freaking adorable, like not dorky at all, just like fun and young, even though he's in his 30s. Like, he's just such a child at heart. You just really see his personality pour out of him. But it's just interesting how like beautiful their home is, how beautiful they are. Their kids are beautiful. Like, everything's perfect, kind of like in Idaho 4, kind of like Kylie Rodney, or kind of like a lot of others. I mean, I think a lot of the cases that capture the public eye, it's because of these things. So it's like the chicken and the egg, which came first. But then I think some of these are like, I'll just say it, I think they're psyops. And so they try to pick these people that they know will draw people in. What's Billy saying? I stayed on the St. Paul side for Billie Eilish concert. Oh, awesome. When was this? I bet you loved it. Was it the Tepe's exes maybe? So yes, I have been suspicious of Monique Tepe's exes all along before I found out she was ever married. I'm still suspicious of him. And his name is all over the media, and I just saw that Paula Plunder was like putting his name out on the front end of things yesterday. So I'll go ahead and say his whole name. I was using his initials, MDM. Michael David McKee. That's the doctor that she was married to. And I'll give a shout out to Truth and Transparency, who lives in Columbus and has been killing it on this case. And she dug up some information that shows that Monique and Michael were married for an even shorter amount of period than it seemed like. It was 2 years before their divorce was finalized, but it sounds like she left him after like 5 months, and he wouldn't sign the divorce papers. So we'll get into that. So I still think he's a really good candidate. I mean, he lives all the way in Chicago, which is be like a 6-hour drive. So I don't think he could ever like get to Columbus from Chicago. I mean, being sarcastic, of course. But I also think that they need to leave no stone unturned and not get tunnel vision. And I think they need to look at everybody that knew them, and especially people who knew them well and people that would have been able to get in and out of the house without leaving a trace, people who would not have harmed the kids or the dog. And I still don't know, the public still doesn't know if the kids were like put in rooms with doors that they couldn't open, because the older kid was 4, the younger kid was 1. They weren't discovered until 10 o'clock. It turns out that the police went to the wrong house the first time at like 9 o'clock. So the first people to actually get to their house was one of their friends, and he didn't get there until 10 o'clock. 9:57, Alex Diddy, he was the first to show up. 9:10 was when the police knocked on somebody's door, but not the right door. So Athens Dental Depot is where the husband Spence worked as a dentist, which is like, I think 85 miles away. Athens is pretty far from Columbus. I mean, Athens is like the lower southeast corner of our state. It's beautiful. It's in the Hocking Hills, very, very stunning area. But also it's like one of the poorest, it is the poorest county in Ohio because it's in the Appalachians. And the only employer in Athens, other than this dental group, is basically the University of Ohio, or Ohio University, OU. It's a beloved school. It's a party school. It's got a great reputation for many, many things, not just partying, but academically. And it's a beautiful town. It's a cute town. The town is built around the school. The school's about 20,000 students, and it's one of the oldest institutions in our state, probably one of the oldest universities in the country. Beautiful campus. I went to Miami University, which is on the other side of Ohio, the southwest corner, north of Cincinnati. That's very similar. It's built around the same time, also about 20,000 students, also a teeny tiny town that completely revolves around the college and nothing else. Also an economically depressed area, actually. It's like right on the border of Indiana. And there's nothing else around there for, like, if you go into Indiana, there's like nothing forever and ever. They're like giant farms, and that's it. Like, you'll be driving miles and it's still the same farm. Anyway, enough tangents. Where was I going with all of that? The universities, the dentist practice, Athens Dental Depot. Apparently there's a bunch of them. So I don't know if they're all owned by that same guy who is Spence Tepe's boss, Mark Valrose, who was the first one to make the 911 call. And, I gotta be humble and say that I might have misspoke when I was criticizing. I mean, you just never know. When I was criticizing the panel on Surviving the Survivors, and they were like all suspicious of the owner of the dental practice, and they were all suspicious of the employees at the dental practice. And I was just like, whoa, chill out, Mark forgot to say that Spence was a dentist. He forgot to say that it was a dental practice. He just called and said, my employee's late for work and I'm freaking out, basically. And that could be because he was so freaked out, he forgot to mention it. I think had he said he's a dentist at my dentist practice, that would have really ratcheted up the panic, because he's part of the upper crust. He's part of the 1%. He's a doctor, and our system kind of services those folks, right? So I had thought, well, he just forgot to mention it because he was so panicked, and it was so unlike Spence. But maybe he forgot to mention it on purpose. You always got to look at the people who make that 911 call. They're basically your first suspect, honestly. Pretty much in all cases, even this maybe. I thought that this didn't qualify for that, but you just never know. You never know. Also, I think what's really suspicious is they've got like the one still shot of the guy walking in the alley, like somewhere in that 2 to 5 in the morning time frame that they're saying that this happened. I'll get to your comment, sweetheart, one sec. And why just the one still shot? It's kind of like the Kylie Rodney one still shot. It's like there were a ton of cameras trained on that alley. The guy has a very distinctive butt and walk. I mean, I've seen the footage of him walking and I've seen the still shot, and his butt is just kind of round. It's not big. It's just, badonkadunk, the junk in the trunk. So he's kind of got a distinctive walk, like not a limp or a drag or anything, but he's just got much more of a rear end than most of us have. So, and again, not big, but bulbous. That's a good, accurate way to describe it. So why don't they have other images of him? Like, why would they only put the one out there? Was it the Tepe's exes maybe? What, LOL, what? Crisis actors, OMG, Billy, darling. It better not be some of this crap. But when you look at that wedding video, like you've never seen a cuter couple in your entire freaking life. And I'm not saying that they're not real people. I'm saying that they might have been selected as a good distraction. I've been trying not to say it. I've been trying not to say this could not possibly be another distraction from the Trumpstein files. But I certainly think that the ICE agents, 2,000 ICE agents being released into the streets of Minneapolis, St. Paul, today's Thursday? Was that Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday that they released the 2,000 ICE agents? I think it was like the day before yesterday. It might have started on Monday and continued into Tuesday. But in my opinion is that they were sent to do exactly what happened yesterday, that they were basically instructed to be as violent as possible, take somebody out, distract from the e-files. Maybe not so specifically ordered that, but that might be what was going on in the Biggly Piggly's mind when he said, it's time. Oh, and then were there more ICE agent injuries or fatalities in Portland, Oregon today, Billy? Did you see this? I can look it up. It was JLR that had a live video like an hour ago. Okay, the doc did it, in my opinion, worked with low empathy people. Well, so the ex-husband of Monique is the surgeon, the orthopedic surgeon. And then this guy, what I say his name is, Mark Valrose, is the dentist that owns the practice that Spence worked at. And if he owns a bunch of these locations, Athens Dental Depot, and there might be some in Columbus, there might be some in Ashland, which is like an hour north of Columbus, why have him commute an hour and 15 minutes away? Why not have him practice out of the Columbus group? I don't know. It's just a question. But the other thing they were saying on Surviving the Survivor that I was very offended by is they were like, well, why is Mark and the other employees from the dental practice calling Monique's number? And why do they even have her number? That's weird. That's suspicious. And I was just like, man, it's not. They all socialize. They know each other. And she's a stay-at-home mom. And she's one of these people, apparently, that's really responsive to her phone. You're always going to get an answer or a response, if not immediately thereafter. And so, Mark said specifically in his first call that it concerned him even more that he wasn't able to reach Monique. So maybe there's something to that, and maybe there's not. But let me get caught up with all of your comments here, my dear. Oh, who's Elkie75, honey? I'm not familiar with your handle. And the YouTube is showing us old handles. So if you have a newer handle that I might recognize you from, please do share. Since you said RIP Kylie Rodney, I'm thinking that we're probably familiar with each other, right? I know everybody who knows Kylie Rodney. I'm just kidding. But yeah, we love our Miss Kylie Rodney, don't we? But he had time to say he was in Florida, sus. So one of the things that Truth and Transparency, Lana said, and like I said, I want to give her like major shout out and support for doing everything she's doing. It's fine if she's making mistakes. I don't care. That's going to happen. I say it's good just to be doing it and putting your best foot forward. And she made a mistake, I think, by saying that 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 Michael David McKee was married to a guy 2 weeks after he divorced Monique. I think that's a different Michael David McKee. So I think she made a mistake there. And again, no big deal. So be it. That happens. And maybe she didn't. Maybe that wasn't a mistake, but I think it was. I think Paula Plunder checked into that and was like, no, that's not right. I tried to check into it, but I don't have all the mad skills that Paula has. Paula used to be a professional reporter for a professional news crew or something. 1 second here. Okay. And I do need to wrap up. I will come back on though when I get back from picking up my kid. So the thing that Lana said was that one of the reasons why the dispatcher was such a biatch might have been because she could see when he was calling and said that he was in Florida, that she could see that he was not in Florida, but that he was in Ohio, maybe like Lancaster, Ohio. Let me look that up real quick. I'm not going to stay on long. Like I said, I have to wrap it up. Lancaster. I can't remember where Lancaster is. It's right there. It is. Looks like it's out in the middle of nowhere. Okay, Lancaster is southeast of Columbus. It kind of is out in the middle of nowhere. It is as you're getting into the Hocking Hills and the Appalachians, which is why I've never heard of it. So, and maybe that's like halfway to Athens. Yeah, it looks like it is from Columbus, just under halfway to Athens. So yeah, Lana said that his phone was showing that the police could tell that he was in Lancaster because Lana got all the stuff from the dispatchers. And I'm sure Paula got all that too. So they have different interpretations of it. And I know Lana is watching Paula, and I think that they're in touch with each other. But anyway, it's always good to cross-reference and cross-pollinate and all that stuff. So maybe he was in Lancaster and said he was in Ohio or said he was in Florida. And if that's the case, then he's screwed. But maybe he left his work cell phone in Lancaster. Maybe, let's say that's where he lives. And then maybe when he was in Florida, he was on his personal cell phone and it buzzes through his work phone or something. So maybe he wasn't lying about being in Florida. Maybe his phone was showing as Lancaster because I don't know how all that stuff works, but they're going to know and they're going to be able to figure it out. So yeah, let me read up on all of your comments and then we'll wrap up and try to get back on in within the hour. Because there's so much to talk about. So I'm just going to speed through. Ellie, RIP, Kylie Mae Rodney, we love her. Portland, OMG, what? Yeah, I'll look into it while I'm picking up my kid. The surgeon did it, low empathy. Could be the surgeon, could be the dentist, could be that they work together, could be the brother-in-law. Could be that there was a lot of conspiring. Who knows? Could be none of them. Could be the kid that speaks at the wedding who I think might have been a big brother, big sister kid that they helped out. I mean, again, I don't want to throw shade at anybody. I just know that in an investigation, you need to leave no stone unturned. He was the only person in the wedding video that kind of stood out as being different, because it was only immediate family, because it was right after COVID. So all their other friends and family were on Zoom. So we are going to wrap up though right here. I'm going to read the rest. Both sound like asshats. A lot of doctors are, right? Hey, sweetie. Okay. Okay, I'm just about to leave. Yep. Thanks, hon. Bye. Okay. So, not in Florida. Oh boy. Yeah, if he lied, then it was him for sure. Brother-in-law. What? Yeah, so the brother-in-law is the one who made the video, the wedding video. His name is Rob. I always forget his last name. It's kind of a weird name. He's married to Spence's sister, Madeline, and they made a horror flick together, 12-minute horror flick. And they also, he's got his little business. What the F is his name? I've said it a whole bunch at the beginning of the video. It's such an easy name, but it's just kind of blah. It's literally kind of like meh. Like that's his last name, I think. Meh. I'll look at it and then I'll wrap it up. I'll tell you what it is. It literally is like what I said it is. What is his name? So him and his wife are both, they worked on that horror film together. Rob Misleh, Misleh. That's the name of his YouTube channel. Check it out while I am offline if you want. He took down the video from him and his wife's wedding, which was like 6 years ago. I think he took it down. He's got like 20 videos up. The horror flick is called Freight, and it's from about 5 years ago. And then Spence and Mo's wedding video is from almost 5 years ago, because their wedding anniversary is the end of this month. All right, so those poor kids, OMG, I know. And especially if it was somebody in the family that did it. And the Tepe's father, Timothy Tepe, is a very successful attorney in Cincinnati. And he's only got the two kids, Spence and Madeline. So now he only has one. So she would be the sole heir to his fortune. Anyway, we'll wrap up here, and I will try to come right back on within the hour. Love to you, my dears. Thanks so much for watching. See you shortly. And yeah, check out Rob Misleh's channel if you want. I have links to the videos in the description of my last video.